Today we're looking at those dynasty trades, those players you want to buy, sell, hold, or trade in your dynasty fantasy football leagues. We're going to look at the advanced analytics, the market, their future values, look at their certain situations and everything else. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're looking at dynasty every day, whether it's through player clips, looking at the analytics like we're doing today, prospecting out future values, or doing rankings. It's all right here. It's all free. Click that subscribe button. Stop missing out. We'll help you win some leagues here. We're starting off with Travis Etienne. Minicamp, he's running with the ones. It looks like we got a lot of competition in this offense. We're seeing that right now in minicamp OTAs. But Travis Etienne, and we look at his career historically, back to 2023, there's a chance we get back to that. But there's also a chance we're back to 2024. This is a huge year. This is a pivotal season for Travis Etienne, his dynasty stock, his NFL career. So really, you're making that bet whether or not you're getting 2023 Travis Etienne or 2024. Remember, we got hit up with an injury. Now we're sharing the backfield a little bit more. They drafted Basil Tootin, LaQuint Allen. They got a lot of competition now in this backfield. That could be a good thing. That could be a good thing. That could allow him to take that necessary step forward and tap in more towards that upside, or that could be a bad thing if we ever run of bad games, if an injury hits us. We're 26 years old, RB33 though in the rankings, per keep trade cuts, and you're looking at the opportunity share here, 30th among running backs last year, but we had ramp downs and ramps ups due to injuries, and on top of that, 558 yards, 3.7 yards per carry, but we were looking better the year prior, so it's not like we can't do it in the league. Different offense. We got competition here. Yards created, 31st among running backs. 25th, though, per touch at 3.58. You're looking at juke rate, 38th. Everything's in the 30s when it comes to efficiency, 30s or 40s. And route participation, 24th among running backs at 33.1%. Ran 174 routes. 24th among running backs, considering the time missed and considering the time he spent sharing the backfield with Tank Bigsby. That's actual consideration there that we're getting some work in the passing game. Target share 11%, which is fine. I should see that, or we should see that be very similar to reduced, considering Travis Hunter's there. And we got Brian Thomas Jr. But on top of that, what if we revert back to 2023? What is the potential for that? Because right now, minicamp, things are looking good. We got to see what happens in training camp. And what if we get hit with an injury? An injury is something that could really rock this. Because now we got more talent behind them. We're at 26 years old. That's something that could impact you. But right now, we're so cheap that if we're like 80%, 90% of 2023, you pick him up at RB33 price tag, you get a few RB1 weeks out of him, you're a win now team. That value might be interesting to you. If you're not a win now team and it's going to take you a couple years, and in a couple years he's 28 years old, what's the point, really? What's the point? You're looking at the adjacent players, and overall there's Basil Tootin ahead of him. Keep trade cut, ADP, they're around similar situations. It says mid 2026 second there. That ain't true value. That ain't true value. That ain't liquid in leagues. We all know that. Juwan Jennings, you're going to hold him over that. Trey Benson and Travis Etienne. That seems like a question a lot of people probably will have. Travis Etienne versus Tony Pollard. Aaron Jones versus Travis Etienne. As you're looking at what you're seeing in Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy, and you're looking at production for the now with these players, especially at the running back position. Basil Tootin ahead of him in the running backs, my goodness. Basil Tootin ahead of him again. Basil Tootin's got a lot of upside. If he gets a large role here in this offense, that could be as early as this year, training camp even, or next year, year after. That could be something to look at. He's also cheap. But could also be that cheap play that gets in your way at your mind and value here, considering the age, considering your roster construction. You cannot, pay down and get chips that equate to him, because that's going to be hard to do because the potential production's too high for that, and no one's going to give you anything that's more valuable than him to get to Travis Etienne because he's kind of low in the market. The time to strike and get him really on the cheap was in season last year. that was really time to make the move on the market. He's kind of scary because what if we get hit with another injury, considering the talent on the depth chart and considering the age factor and everything else? Are you touching him? Are you touching Travis Etienne? I've seen some people on social media say, hey, I'm interested at this price tag. It is a low price tag. We could exceed that ADP this year. There's a good probability for that. And then the injury bug, you cannot predict that. You can't predict that. If that hits him, that's devastating. That is devastating to a stock because Tootin's getting an opportunity. LaQuint Allen would be getting an opportunity. Tank Bigsby would get more opportunity. And that could hit his stock. But he's running with the ones. He's getting opportunity with the first team. We covered that yesterday when we were talking about Basil Tootin. That's something to look at here. It's an interesting stock because he's right there in the crossroads. But the age factor and how your team is built and how you want to build your team should be the catalyst to your decision. Trey Benson, like we previously mentioned, if you're looking to get a cheap upside running back that's young, and it's hard for you to get some of these in this year's draft, or you're cashed out of rookie drafts and you're still trying to get younger at running back, here's another option for you. Just under 23 years old, RB30 in the market per keep trade cut, ADP similar in some sites, but 3.6 points per game, not getting much opportunity. James Conner, how much longer he's going to hold up, we don't know. We don't know with any running back. 4.39 40, back-to-back 800-yard seasons there at Florida State. Drafted in the early third round. We got another full offseason here with the Arizona Cardinals. That could amount to him developing and becoming more of the offense. And on top of that, if he gets his opportunity, this is a stock that could go nuclear, that could go off. He's got the speed to burn. He's got the size. He can hold it down. Mari Demicado is still there, who could also make the waters messy here. But the burst score, the speed score, that's something you're paying attention to. Mainly the speed score. I got those two charts mixed up. But the players that are adjacent to him and James Conner are neck and neck right there when it comes to ADP value, keep trade cut, whatever it is. Whatever you're looking at, they're not far off. Tyrone Tracy, a little bit ahead of Travis Etienne. He's a younger, more unknown asset. Brian Robinson's up there. Brian Robinson, a steady running back who's very reliable for his team, a little bit for fantasy. Pacheco's there, an upside play here in 2025 that a lot of people are looking at. A cheap young running back, very ambiguous. We can see how his potential could hit for us, but there you go for another one. Another one's Marshawn Lloyd. RB58, we're seeing him get some opportunity on the field. He was hurt last year. Pretty much last year's a mulligan due to that. So we're looking at his 2025 season as being his rookie year, maybe rookie plus year. Maybe that's how you want to call it, however you want to define it. But looking at what he was coming out of the draft, 4.46 40-yard dash, 220 pounds, good size. Josh Jacobs there. And we got some competition in that backfield. But more of an upside play here on the cheap, RB58. Very liquid afterthoughts. We're watching him from afar here to see what happens. Very quiet from the Packers in regards to him. But if you really think about OTAs and minicamp, for running backs, it's really just handoffs running against air, catching balls. So really, how is he downloading the system? How he's looking good with that? You'll know more about these running backs once we get into training camp. Pads are on. Pads are popping. That's where things get more in depth. More in depth for everybody else. But 11-on-11s, wide receivers, quarterbacks. It's a little bit more in depth there because you got to create that separation, get the target. Quarterback's got to be on point, got to run the offense. Or the running backs, you take that handoff, you're running through the bags. Everything looks good because you're a high-end college player. You're a NFL draft prospect. You're an NFL prospect. Those basic things, you should not be tripping up on bags or anything like that. So basic drills, you should be looking okay. Watch Marshawn Lloyd from afar. Cheap stock to dabble with. There's a chance that we could see an increase in his stock in training camp as more people start looking at him. The Packers start viewing their practices a little bit more. Might be getting more run, might not. Might not. Very ambiguous right now. Josh Jacobs can still hold it down a little bit until the injury bug kicks in. That kicks in with all running backs, so it's not just him. Jade Reed, speaking on the Packers. Wide receiver 42. At that price tag, there's a good probability that we outperform that ADP. 2 wide receiver 1 weeks last year. You're looking at what he did week to week. semi-consistent on the low end. Like, he's not going to bottom out too much on you. And then you got the carousel effect of the Packers. He's always going to be out on the field. He's going to have potential to give you some good weeks, no matter what's going on with Golden or any of the other wide receivers. And at this price, he's going to be down a ways on your wide receiver depth chart anyways. You're catching him on the cheap. How liquid is he going to be on your league? Maybe you have a higher priced wide receiver that you're paying down to get picks and a vet to get some part of the production back while trying to get into next year's draft, and you're getting Jaden Reed, and you're still trying to be competitive, but you're like, hey, I'm going to see what's going to go mid-season, then I'm going to sell off more players. Maybe that's what you're trying to do. Maybe you're in a startup draft, and you're seeing this ADP or what's on Keep Trade Cut, and you're like, there's a discount here. I can go wide receiver, maybe mix in a running back, get Jaden Reed, see what happens. You're looking at last season, the target share dipped a little bit. Love sprays the ball around. That's the thing about this. Love sprays it around. It could go anywhere in any given game. That's the thing about this. However, this is a good wide receiver prospect here that has historically owned a good target share that we can pay attention to. ADOT of around 9.1. So, of course, you're going to see some volatility with that. But when you're looking at him, we could also step it up a little bit more when it comes to targets. We could also get right this year when it comes to targets. And you're looking at the depth chart. Honestly, with Matthew Golden there, that might help him out a bit with the speed factor, him getting acclimated to the offense. They use 3 wide receivers a lot. I think Jaden Reed's still going to get his opportunity in targets. I think the odds of him stepping up to being a top 20 wide receiver are gone. That's the thing about wide receiver 40 is what they're saying here in the rankings here. They're saying the odds of him ambiguously leaning in the wide receiver 20 range in value or higher, that's almost gone and zapped out. You can still moneyball some weeks out of him due to the carousel effect of the Packers, which we talk about in season a lot as we're projecting game to game. That's why you need to hit that subscribe button right now, because we also do those projections workload-wise, pace-wise of games to help you set your lineups. I don't really tell you who to start. You kind of use that logistically with those numbers. You're like, okay, this has a 50 over-under. Both these teams are fast-paced. Might as well take the shot on this guy on the back end of my roster and my lineup to see if we can catch some gold here. That's what I'm trying to find for you guys, trying to go deep. And with the carousel effect here, even though, like say, Golden's leading the team in targets, he's got a 22% target share, hypothetically, going into week 14. Due to Love spreading around with how many wide receivers they use in game, Reed could still have some pop-off weeks. And if you're setting lineups and you suck at setting lineups, maybe that's something you want to stay away from when it comes to Reed. If you're more of a best ball format, if you're good at setting lineups, if you're good at reading the over-unders, predicting workflow, taking gambles, then maybe you want more Reed in your lineups where you can play money ball a little bit. That's something you need to think about. It's not about like points per game. It's also how good you are at setting lineups. Some people are better at that than others. Some people want it to where they're playing the ADP game, the stock value game. I don't see a stock really shooting up super high. I look for him to be a good money ball piece in lineups. If you're working that correctly, probably great for daily fantasy football this year. If healthy on the field. Matthew Golden, his impact here is he's going to be on the field. He's going to be getting opportunities here early, soon. And he's going to be part of the carousel effect. He'll be more of the offense as we get more developed into the system. He'll be getting opportunities, short, intermediate, deep, due to that speed and ability to break off routes. Rashee Rice. I saw a thumbnail, I forget who did it, but they're trying to figure out who's the wide receiver 1 of this team. If you're worried about his health, he's back. He's back. We saw it in minicamp. We covered it in workout clips here on the channel. If you're just looking for this thumbnail for your dynasty takes, he's back. He's going to be out on the field. Do not worry about the health. Some people said he's a buy because they look at wide receiver 17. They look at his ADP. I don't think he's liquid. The time to buy was right when he got hurt. Like week 4 last year, week 5, week 6. As people were surrounding, trying to find players to put in their lineups that would have an impact. That was time to get it. It's not like you see an ADP and you're like, oh, it's time to buy. Maybe list-wise in drafts. When you get your league established, when you know you have a player that's been looking good. Rashee Rice was looking good in camp last year. When it came to all the Chiefs players last year, this time, he was one of the best among all players. Offensive linemen, D-line, linebackers, not just wide receivers. He took that big step forward. That should remain. I do not expect him to take a huge step forward from last year to this year due to coming back from the injuries. But he's a guy that works hard. Work hard to come back, work hard to get better, work hard to develop. I do not see a fall off from grace. I look for him to be a big part of the offense. A 25% target share when he was out there. The ADOT's low. It's always been low. But this is a fast-paced offense. They move the football. Xavier Worthy's there. This is a wide receiver that's going to get his targets. He's going to get his opportunity. If the ADOT stays low like that, I would expect some major volatility somewhere down the line because that's just what it says. Like, you can still have a good target share, a good amount of targets per game, 7.3 per game last year in that short sample. With the ADOT being low, you can still have some low-volume fantasy scoring games. However, the target share is looking good. The offense fuels it. That being said, Rice is in a good spot. Wide receiver 17 is very cheap considering what you're getting and situation-wise. T-Mac has a lot of upside. T. Higgins, good wide receiver, very cheap. Devonta Smith, a very expensive wide receiver 2 range for fantasy football. Him and Rashee Rice, who would you rather have? I think Rice is a little bit more ambiguous with a good offense that you're in. Ambiguous upside is what I mean. Ambiguous upside. Travis Hunter is jazzed up there. That is an asset, considering you got Brian Thomas Jr., that you might be able to manipulate the market, get a good wide receiver and capital with if somebody's that over the top. I don't see the market being that liquid 1-for-1 with some of these upside plays. I just don't see that being happening. Rice, Hendo. Rice is a first-round pick. If you're not in, or if you're good at wide receiver to where it's hard for you to start them, or whatever your situation, and if you're looking for running backs, he's around that first-round running back range where you might be able to get it happen. However, people are very stingy in rookie drafts when they're in the first round and they're looking at running backs, so that might not be 100% liquid. I don't see anybody ponying up J.J. McCarthy in Superflex. Maybe 1 QB, but you're not really doing that in 1 QB unless you got some weird format going on. Jerry Jeudy, interesting situation here. So I've been studying the Browns quarterbacks every day because it makes me money. And on top of that, it's fascinating. And I did it last year with Deshaun Watson anyways. And the Browns beat writers are very good at getting us their information, so it's very easy to do. All the quarterbacks are looking good. All of them are stacking days. Joe Flacco has been looking solid. Shedeur has been playing with the 3s, the 4s, got some opportunities with the 2s. He's been accurate, around 80% completion rates. On the money, Kenny Pickett's had some down moments, but all in all, overall, kind of solid. Gabriel, solid for a backup, developmental backup that you're looking at there with good accuracy. Jerry Jeudy's a guy that could rack up a good target share here. With the Browns offense, strong defense, getting really strong at running back, the slower paced games could create some volatility there where it could be up and down. Wide receiver 35, if you have an asset here that's kind of up and you want to trade down to a wide receiver that can be productive, that's getting targets, that's getting a good opportunity. If Flacco's working, he's out there on the field pushing it downfield, he can buoy these wide receivers. He likes to go YOLO. He can also have games where he goes and runs and throwing picks. That could get him yanked. Tough schedule starting out. That's what the beat writers are worried about with this team. They're really worried about the turnover margin. And if the coaching staff is in on that, or if the beat writers got that leaked by the coaching staff, that indicates slower game scripts, potentially leaning on the defense in the run game. Jerry Jeudy, though, I look for him to get a good target share, above 20% easy. I'm expecting that. 22% last year, 144 targets, 8.5 a game. We're going to be in moments we're going to have to lean on that. Deontay Johnson there looks like he's going to be in the slot. He might sneak some money ball value for you in fantasy. That's something to pay attention to. I think Jerry Jeudy at cost for a win-now team considering the age, but wide receiver-wise, how he plays the game, he's going to give you some long-term benefits still, because you're not expecting to be Jamar Chase or have those blow-off top seasons. You're expecting him to be like high-end volatility, and that's something to look at. The target share, above 20% easy. He's going to be around 25%, ADOT around 11. I think the ADOT's going to be rather similar. I think it's going to be above 10. I think we're going to hit that double-digit ADOT. The only thing that's going to affect him really is the pace of play, those down games. I think you'll have some low ball moments, but I think you're going to have some high moments as well where like, oh, it's Jerry Jeudy again. You're looking at adjacent players. This is a wide receiver to look at here at the value. At the value, like I said, if you had like a wide receiver 25 to 30 range, you can pay down a bit and get a pick. Or if you're looking to get out one of your rookies and get some vets, whatever you're trying to do, you're looking at this. You look at this target share wise, you look at the contract wise, you got this year 2025, 2026, potential outs. Contract wise, not a killer in 2027, vastly similar. You got a couple years there. Maybe they get right at quarterback. Maybe they figure something out. They got picks available for next year's quarterback class, which is better than this year's class on paper right now. Guys could stay in. That's the thing about this. I would not expect Arch Manning to the Browns. I would not expect that. We're looking at Jerry Jeudy at the price tag. That's a solid price. Rome Odunze. We've talked about him a few times this offseason. He's looking good in camp. He's looking good in practice. We've seen him make some plays. We've seen some highlight clips of him. And we're looking at the targets. We're looking at Luther Burden. I look for Luther Burden. He's been nicked up in practice. Look for him in training camp. I will have clips out on him. Wide receiver 20 right now. I think that's a good value considering the upside volatility. I think numbers-wise, you look at last year, some people are down on it. Some people are like, hey, there's some potential here. It's what side of the fence you want to stand on. I don't really care where you're at. But the thing is, when you stack it up with some of the other great wide receivers, a lot of great wide receivers had rookie seasons like him. Target share was pushing 20% last year, considering DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, rookie quarterback, 8 out of 13.8. And we're going into year 2. Keenan Allen's gone. We do have Luther Burden. He's been nicked up, though. There's a chance that target share goes above 20, and we're getting 8 out in the double digits. That means we're at least going to have some boom weeks. And we had some games last year where we were getting hit heavy with targets. It was up and down. We were averaging 5.9 targets per game. So we can get to that 6 to 8 range or 7 to 8 range, which is more logical considering he was pretty much at 6 last year. You are looking at some games this year where we're going to have some good moments. Air yards, 14th among wide receivers overall. A 30.8% air share, 25th among wide receivers. Almost a 90% route participation rate as a rookie. Like, people are looking at these numbers here from last year. 734 yards, 3 touchdowns with a rookie quarterback first year. They fixed up the offensive line. 966 yards from DJ Moore, 744 with Keenan Allen. We're running on 90% of the routes. We have experience now. That's something to pay attention to. Target separation, 41st among wide receivers, so middle of the road there. They will push it downfield on this team. That fits well with Rome Odunze. You look at what they brought in. Look at the free agency additions. We're stacking up a guard, center. We're stacking up the offensive line. We're getting more stout there. Ben Johnson's there. A lot of good changes here that a lot of people are excited about. And now we're looking at this team. We're looking to take a step forward. We're still rather expensive, but we're rather cheap considering where we went out in last year's draft. A deep, talented wide receiver class. We got a good second-year quarterback here that you're either in or you're out with. We're looking here. That's a solid value if you want to make that gamble. It's also expensive. It's hard to do. He could flop. But when you're looking at his price tag now, you're either in or you're out. Joshua Palmer. We're going to mine some value here with the Bills. Wide receiver 84. Excels well getting downfield. And that goes well with Josh Allen. This could be a wide receiver that could have some moments this year. I'm not expecting him to be a wide receiver 1 or even a wide receiver 2, but could give you that spotty production that you can moneyball in your lineups. And if you're good at setting lineups, that's something you're looking at. The Bills last year were kind of weird. There had some games last year where we got to halftime, they only had like a couple pass attempts, and they slowed it down. Other games where they were airing it out. So it's also situational with these wide receivers. When you look at the numbers, the 15% target share, ADOT 15.2. The ADOT is what I really want to look at. The target share is going to be hard to look at due to Shakur, Keon Coleman maybe taking a step forward, other people added to this team. But the ADOT in double digits might go good with Josh Allen. On top of that, they're excited about him in minicamp and OTAs. The beat writers were excited about what they were seeing. 75% route participation rate last year, and we're cheap. We're just cheap. We're just cheap. Another Moneyball asset, Elijah Moore's back. Elijah Moore, 71 points per game. So if you're a point per game zealot and you don't like zoom in week to week, you could be looking at him like he's dead. But we also had some moments here with the Browns, with him being like the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 at times due to injuries, and with suspect quarterback play. However, it was YOLO. We got a 16-pointer, 18-pointer, 19-pointer, 10-10, a lot of bottom-out weeks where you weren't using them anyways. Wide receiver 88, 6.1 targets per game. What does that tell you, chat? We're able to create separation and get open, be moved around the offense, in an offense that was rather stagnant last year. Actually, it wasn't stagnant. It was pushing it downfield once we had the quarterback change. The quarterback change was good for the wide receivers, but he had his moments last year. He was a Moneyball gamble last year, and he could be a Moneyball gamble for this team. So what I'm hearing from camp is that they're very excited about him. From every account of Palmer, I'm hearing 2 accounts or more. Does that mean anything? No, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's against air right now. But at that price tag, which is almost UDFA status, that is something to pay attention to. That is something to pay attention to. We've seen wide receivers coming in and out of these Bills for a bit. Some of them catch a little heat for a few weeks. He caught a little bit of heat last year. He did on those upside games when he was getting targets. He can command targets. And he had a good profile coming out of college. We played with the Jets and Browns. Maybe we need this new situation. Maybe not. Maybe he's just a situational role player that's good at that. And he turns heads, and sometimes he just has a couple good games for fantasy. Maybe he's just better at football than he is fantasy football, moving them around. At that price tag, with it being the Bills, with them potentially getting in more shootouts than last year, that's something to look at. Target share, 16.3%, 6.1 targets per game, 31st among wide receivers. It's the volume. The ADOT's what you're worried about because that generates volatility, especially when you're under a 20% target share. But different team, different strokes, different pokes. News coming out of camp right now. Am I saying he's a buy? Maybe if you're listening to my words, you think he is, but I don't look at him as a buy at that price. He's a cheap asset that you can moneyball with, that you can see what's going on in camp to see if he gets more on the field, if he gets hyped during training camp. If there's an injury to Shakira Coleman, he might see a larger role. He might get peppered below. That's something to pay attention to. You're also looking at this depth chart. You got Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer, Shakir. There's some competition here. They're trying to flesh this out. Will Keon Coleman take a step forward? If he doesn't take a step forward and he's just a deep ball city guy, then the plethora of targets going to be spread around some more, and you might catch a carousel effect like we were talking about with the Packers, where it could be any given Sunday. Khalil Shakir should be around a 20%, if not higher, target share this year. You're looking at the price here. Noah Gray value. Kayshon Boutte's cheap, but we got more pressure there in the offense. Michael Wilson's cheap. He's a cheap wide receiver. New situation that in bad situations, we were able to look at him and find a golden lining. Daniel Jones. Anthony Richardson's hurt. They do not know how long he's going to be hurt. Could be back day one at training camp. Could be nothing. He has went up from QB 38 to QB 33. So there was an increase there. QB 41 to QB 33, depending on when you looked at that. And we had the potential to get QB 1 weeks. The thing about this is that he's got the Daniel Jones stank on his stock, so it's never going to increase, but he could be a moneyball quarterback if he becomes the starter. And we have a deep wide receiver depth chart here. We got Alec Pierce, a deep threat, A.D. Mitchell, who could be taking a step forward. That could become a highlight reel, honestly. Josh Downs is stout and solid. Michael Pittman, stout and solid. Jonathan Taylor, behind him, Khalil Herbert, upside running back for a backup. Giddens, you got some stuff. Tyler Warren, you got some stuff to play off of. And where you were with the Giants, it wasn't a great situation. Accuracy rating back in 2022 when we're looking at those good numbers. 5th among quarterbacks. 1 in true completion percentage. 8th in true passer rating. There's a golden lining here where if Anthony Richardson's hurt and banged up, or Daniel Jones just wins the job, that could be your moneyball quarterback. I don't think he's going to be liquid now, though, in Superflex. I think you're going to have to pay more because people know this. In Superflex, they hold quarterbacks over a barrel. 1 QB, and you want to just be good at running back, wide receiver, tight end. You're paying down. This could be an option for you. Other formats, too. DFS, this could be great, and over-unders 45 or higher that you're looking at. Over-unders are projection point totals for games that we use in season to help predict what could potentially happen. Looking at the game scripts, Colts are usually a little bit slower, but could be a little bit more faster paced if Daniel Jones could click with these wide receivers. We won't know till win season. But what we're looking at here, team pass plays per game, that season with the Giants, 25th in the league, 25th among quarterbacks, 30.6. Might be a little bit more neutral if things are clicking to the good. That's something to look at. But we have some weapons here. DK Metcalf, interesting stock. Going to be 28 years old soon. Wide receiver 26. Aaron Rodgers is at quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger said that this could be his last year. It could be. It could be. It may not even matter. He could be too rusty. Father Time might be looking at him. One thing about looking at Aaron Rodgers, he looks like he's having fun in camp. That could mean absolutely nothing. But the dude had legit smiles on him, which is something I haven't seen since before COVID. So that's something you can hang your hat on. 13 points per game last season. And you're looking at the targets there. 14 on the high, 3 on the low. I don't see him getting 3 on the low on here. I don't see that being happening, even with slower game scripts. Aaron Rodgers runs a slow game script. That's something to just peg in there. Steelers look like they're going to be slow when it comes to play. That's something to pay attention here. A 21% target share. I look for him to be that range or higher. Like, it could be 25%. Who else is Rodgers going to throw the ball to? He likes to lock into that top target. ADOTS is going to be up there. This could be a sneaky guy for win now teams, but he's not too sneaky because he's wide receiver 26. Separation rate 87th among wide receivers last year. However, he's deep ball city guy, so that's just different with how he plays the game. Should be running all the routes, 95% rate last year. Should be doing that again this year with the Steelers. Who else is going to be doing it? He's been working out with Rodgers even before the signing. We covered that. We're looking at this. Now, if I'm rebuilding, middle of the road, if I'm questioning whether or not I can make the playoffs, I got to get out. I got to get out because I do not know what I'm getting with Aaron Rodgers. I do not know who's going to be the quarterback in 2026. I do not know how many games Aaron Rodgers is going to allow them to win, and that could get him out of the range of a good quarterback again. And this is a team that can do that. That's scary. And if I'm not looking to make the playoffs in 2 years, then next thing you know, you're looking at a guy pushing 30 at wide receiver. I think his stock has the potential to stay the same or crash. His stock's going to stay the same or crash. Even with a better season, say we get 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, because I'm expecting this offense to be not super fast. Say 8 touchdowns, fair, 1,100 yards, 12, 13. Say 1,300 yards. Let's give him a little more. It's going to stay around the same. Like, that age is there. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback situation is still there. I don't see it going up. So you have him for the production. The production can be there because the target share is going to be up there and the ADOT's going to be up there. He ain't running short routes. He ain't running mostly short routes. The target share will be there if Rodgers can connect with him. That's the thing about that. That's the question with that. He ain't running short routes. So work rate wise, he's going to be okay. Long-term wise, interesting stock. You got Terry McLaurin. I believe he's going to be back on the field and be all right. Matthew Golden, if you're looking for a first-round wide receiver in the draft. Jamison Williams has some upside to his stock. Xavier Worthy, another year with the Chiefs. Zay Flowers, he can be up and down, but yet be consistent too at the same time. We got to look at him some more because I'll prove that to you. Looking at the quarterbacks, you ain't getting much out of him for Superflex. You're not. You have to be creative. Late first, we looked at those values and trades. I think that's a hard thing to do when you're looking at Caleb Johnson. When you're looking at Caleb Johnson and those young running backs, and you're looking at that as, man, what if RJ Harvey falls to me? What if that happens? I ain't making those plays. Now those are 2026 late first, so a little bit more liquid, but you're kind of looking at it as that. Is not liquid player. What I mean by liquid player, he's not being moved around a lot league for league. There's trades with him. There are, but it's going to be hard to get trades done. Like, you're going to have to be creative. Like, if I'm a rebuilding team, I'm just staying away. If I'm a win now team, maybe. Let me know what you think in the comments below and hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.